Who cheats more, women or men in a relationship?
Men definitely cheat more. I think if a woman cheats, it's because a man pushed her to cheat. If you're having sex two to three times a week, that's a sign that things are good, right? If you're down to once a month, you're in like danger zone.
What are some top pointers you would give to couples that need therapy?
I always tell them to make 2 vows. I say, if you want to make your marriage work, commit to your partner and say, and then the second vow I have couples make with one another is, none of that. Marriage can be a beautiful, wonderful thing if you work at it.
Jonathan, pleasure to have you on finally.
Yeah,
bud.
welcome. We've been like going back and forth on Instagram for a long time.
Feels like almost a year now.
I think almost a year. You were like my pre-blow up
Yep.
contact.
I'm good at like finding people
found me.
before they like shoot, and then
I still have no idea about anything that's
okay.
going on.
What's your guess?
My guess is stem cells.
No.
You are so off.
Way
It's not
off.
Really?
funny.
Because
Yeah.
you said Panama. You said
Yeah.
you're
He
going back to Panama.
He lives in Panama.
Yeah, I live in
So,
Panama.
okay, my 2 guesses. Number 1 was stem cells when I heard Panama, and then number 2 is like asset protection attorney because of a lot of the stuff that went down in Panama.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is
no, I'm definitely neither of those,
Okay.
but I could see it for sure. I know a little bit about asset protection. So if you guys need some advice, I'm happy to help you out. But yeah, that's not the deal.
You are like fucking
Light years
on
off?
a different planet.
Okay, so
Jonathan, kind of want to explain who you are and what
Yeah,
you do?
yeah, for sure. I'm a couples therapist.
a couple. What the fuck are you doing in Panama? A couples therapist?
We shouldn't be there. I shouldn't be here. My story is one of, my best friend calls it manifesting. He's like, I'm the king of manifesting right now.
Okay.
Because I'm this 49-year-old graying,
I don't see any
hair
grays.
thinning.
I got grays here. You
Yeah.
got no grays, buddy.
And like totally uninteresting. So for 2016, I graduated with my degree in marriage and family therapy. I was watching a ton of Ty Lopez. Do you know Ty Lopez? So 2017, we take our youngest daughter to Thailand for a month. At the last month of my wife's maternity leave. And I'm like, oh yeah, I could go and be an online marketer and sell my services online. Anyway, so I had this bold idea, let's sell everything. And we basically condense our lives down to carry-on luggage. We took our girls traveling the world. And we did that for about 3 years.
Just with carry-ons.
Just with carry-ons. We were living in Thailand, Vietnam, and then right before COVID, we were in Toronto, or pardon me, in Japan and Fukuoka. But anyway, I was always trying to get clients online, couldn't get clients online. Then we moved to Panama. We just stumbled upon there. We were living in Mexico at the time. We had to go there for a visa run, and we went surfing, and my wife broke her foot. And so we couldn't surf. And so we were like, well, what are we going to do now? So we started looking around, property to buy, because Panama's kind of like going to be the Costa Rica.
Mhm.
It's probably like 20, 30 years behind, but it's up and coming. And we saw the surf lodge right in this beautiful little beach town, bought it, turned it into this little B&B surf lodge, and ran that for 3 years. And then about a year ago, I got on Instagram. So that's how we met. But,
Okay.
yeah.
So we've had a lot of people that are trying to break people apart and help them
Yeah.
break it apart. So you're trying to glue them back together. or
I'm trying to
prevent-
glue everyone back together.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So how did you get involved with the family therapy, marriage counseling?
At the time I was a contractor. I was living in Toronto, and we'd bought a house, renovated it, kind of that that dream of like, I'm going to be a flipper and stuff like that. And
They've got nice homes in Toronto.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
the modern homes that they build over there are a lot nicer than the ones in
Really?
LA. Yeah, you would be surprised.
I am surprised.
The real estate spec homes in Toronto, in Canada,
Insane.
is like light
It's
years
booming.
ahead. Light years ahead of
Yeah.
like what we're doing in the US. All the flip homes that you see there, like the modern style homes, that everything's probably like 5 years ahead of us. The
Like
finishes,
computer-controlled
fixtures,
too.
Yeah.
not just technology, but like as far as like the finishes, the kind of stones they use, the
Yeah.
woods, the doors, the veneers, everything is just,
Yeah.
it's incredible.
Well, the market is so liquid. Like houses don't last they're not longer on the market than 8 days.
Mhm.
Pretty typical. I know you guys in LA went through something with that tax above 5 million or something.
Yeah, the
ULA.
ULA tax.
Yeah, and it kind of, so like I see houses here, they're like on the market 160 days. In Toronto, it's 8 days.
And like
Mm.
these $3 million homes that would sell for like $10 million here, they just look so nice.
Yeah, they're
Did,
beautiful.
did you build houses or what?
No, so we bought our first house and we lived in the basement, and we bought another house, and then I renovated that, and then I became a contractor. People were asking me to renovate their houses. And so I did that for about 5 years, but it's just hard on the body.
Mhm.
And so I was like, I got to go and retrain. And my best friend at the time, he's like, he was going to do a marriage and family therapy degree. And I was like, well, I can do one too. He never did it. I ended up doing it.
Mhm.
And then that was about 10 years ago. So
Okay.
yeah,
So how long have you been living in Panama?
but we're coming up on 4 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How's the digital nomad life? I've always wanted to do it. How is it?
It's lonely in a sense, because I see clients all day, every day, and I'm talking to people, connecting with people, but it's always through Zoom.
There's no
right?
touch anymore.
There's no touch anymore. I love giving my clients a hug, like when they need it. I like being there for people. You can't do that obviously on Zoom, so it's a bit lonely for sure.
You can send an emoji.
It's well, lately you got like the the thumbs up
Yep.
on FaceTime or whatever like that. It's
Oh,
kind
and
of
like
odd.
I remember the first time I did a podcast on a new Mac, and we were streaming to it, and the editor afterwards is like, "Why are all these emojis popping
Yeah.
up as you're talking?"
Yeah.
Jay didn't realize you had to turn it off, so the first video we did on a new iMac just had all these extra emojis.
Wait,
I
is it
didn't even know that
automatic?
you could turn it off.
Yeah.
Is it automatic?
Yeah, and it was saving on the hard, like
Oh,
the full
boy.
file.
That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's somewhere in the settings you can.
Okay. I'll dig into that and see. But yeah.
So I have a question about couples.
Mhm.
I've asked this question from like a lot of different backgrounds of
Mhm.
people. Who cheats more, women or men in a relationship?
I can talk to you about fears. I think men definitely cheat more. They
See,
cheat
we've
more
had
easily.
women saying that women cheat more. These are like female therapists
Yeah.
that are like, women definitely cheat a lot more than men do.
I would disagree. I think if a woman cheats, it's because a man pushed her to cheat. If you look at the biology, most women out there today, at least the ones walking around LA, all they want is a guy to be faithful, to go to work, come home, provide, protect, and cherish her.
Where's he getting this database from?
I don't know. You sure this is LA?
Yeah, you sure this is LA?
And what is the
I
stacking
think-
order, the ranking order of that?
I mean, obviously, if you find a woman like that, she's a unicorn and you want to wife her up. Like,
Yeah, or she's a dude.
But like, I mean, I definitely think deep down women want to be connected, tethered. I use the word tethered a lot. They want to be tethered to a man and know that he's not going anywhere. And if a guy gives a woman that and cherishes a woman and lets her know that like she's got nothing to worry. I kind of use this, like these little moms, they'll get together, like 4 or 5 of them will meet at Starbucks, right? One of them will be walking around the most secure of the group because she knows at home she's got that guy who cherishes her, who worships her, treats her well, provides everything. There's going to be another woman in that group of friends where she's like, her nervous system's shot because she doesn't know her husband's got his phone on, locked, takes to the bathroom, out late at night. And I think we have a choice as men to decide, like, how do you want to treat a woman? Do you want to make her the center of your world? Or is she unimportant? Is she just, kind of like a vehicle or a delivery mechanism for kids or whatever?
You've been doing this for 10 years now?
Like since I started my degree professionally, like 8 years working with clients.
What have you found to be the number one cause of conflict? Like, what's the origin of it that you've like able to trace it back to?
I would, if I were to zoom out, I would say the biggest issue that people have in their relationship is, so in that honeymoon phase, everyone's in love and they feel amazing and they feel great. And like, I remember taking my wife out for sushi and I would just listen to her talk. I couldn't get it. I could just listen to her talk all night. Then you slip into daily life, jobs, kids, whatnot. And then you start hating your life for whatever reason. You hate your job. You're tired, pain, parenting, finances aren't going well. whatever. And so all this stuff that's going on in your life around you that you don't love, all that emotional pain, you start projecting your spouse or your partner as the cause of it all. So instead of being the nuclear reactor of emotional joy in your life, which that's what it was when you guys were first dating, they become the nuclear reactor of all the pain in your life, even though it's outside of them as your relationship. So I think the biggest problem that people have and what makes them break up is at some point in their relationship, a switch flips and they stop seeing their partner as a source of joy, and it tips over to the emotional pain. And then now they're the cause of all my emotional pain.
So how do you spot that switch and like not flip it?
Sex. Yeah.
So when sex diminishes.
If you're down to once a month, you're in like danger zone. Once every other week is like someone must have been sick that week that we couldn't have had sex. Like someone caught COVID or some crazy disease.
When you said caught, I was like, oh. That could be really bad. And then you said COVID. I'm like, all right. He didn't
yeah. Or like they got the flu or something, stomach bug. But if you're not you want to be aiming weekly 2 to 3 times a week.
With the same person.
With the same person.
Because you could be out having sex every single day. Like I'm having sex every day.
Yeah.
Okay. Just making sure people are getting.
And don't go on girls and guys trips.
Girls and guys trip. What does that mean?
Yeah.
Any type of girls and guys trips. Don't go on.
Like couples?
No,
you're saying like a
individually.
boys trip.
Boys trips, girls trips.
Okay.
None of that.
Got it. Why not?
Why?
We know why. Because the last guest told us why. David, the divorce
What did he
attorney.
say?
He said in the gay community, they have a 50-mile rule. Outside of 50 miles, everything's fair game. And I was like, that's pretty interesting. And he was telling us that.
Oh, as in like, sorry to cut you off, but like within 50 miles, I don't want you with anyone because I want you to be emotionally attached to me.
No, we're a couple within 50 miles. Outside of 50 miles, we're single. Like as long as we're 50 miles apart. I'm like, that's
serious
pretty
about this.
Yeah.
Too.
Well, he was telling us that the divorce rate between
Gay
a man and a woman is 60% divorce. First time marriage is 70% divorce rate. Second marriage is 60, and then third marriage is 50% chance of divorce rate.
I think you got it mixed up.
No, he had it very high.
No, the divorce rate of first marriage is 50.
He said 70.
Second marriage is 60, and third marriage is 70.
In his world, with 27 years of doing divorces, that's what he said. Wow. And then he said the
At
lowest
least in California.
Yeah,
specifically
California.
Los Angeles.
Yeah, because that's where he specializes in. Then he said if heterosexual men and a woman divorces here, lesbian couples is here, gay couples is down here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what's the secret to the gay couples? What do they like? The men, what do they know? He well, number one, they're both dudes. They like have common sense, no emotions. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. And then he's like, I've done 3 male divorces, like gay male divorces in 27 years. And it went down like, well, we own a house. We have 2 cars. He's keeping 1 car. I'm keeping 1 car. We're going to split the house down the middle, sell it. I'm going to get half, do the paperwork.
Yeah.
And he's like, women are like, no, I want to ruin his life. And I want to burn the house down. And I want to like murder him and report him to the IRS.
Alimony, spousal support,
everything.
Child support.
So, and then we were like, well, what's the secret to that success? How come they're able to like have such a low divorce rate? He's like, oh, they have sex all the time. I was like, okay. He's like, with other people. And I was like, wait, what do you mean?
Or invite other people.
Yeah. He's like, we have the don't ask, don't tell rule. We have the 50-mile rule. We have the boundaries within the 50-mile rule. I'm like, what are the boundaries? He goes, hey, if I want to sleep with a pool boy, I'm going to say, hey, these are the ground rules. These are the things we're going to do. And I'm like, so is that really it? That's the reason why? And then you're like confirming it that in a normal, healthy relationship, you just need to have sex once a week.
Yeah. No, twice. 2 to 3 times.
Oh, twice a week. 2 to 3 times a week. With the same person.
With the same person.
With the same person. Yeah.
Understood.
If it drops below that, like
it's a problem.
In like once a monthers are already major communication.
What about
cracks.
sandbaggers? Like they have sex 5 times a day. And then they don't have sex for like 2 weeks, and then they have sex like 10 times.
I would be down with that. I mean, they could just have busy lives. He could be a traveling salesman. She could be working on the road too. Like that could be fine.
Got it. As long as it's like 10 times a month.
As long as it's 10 times a month.
Cumulative. Then it's okay.
Yeah. Anything lower and it's communication hell.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Now, also there are some cultures that this may not apply to, because some cultures purely have sex, or religions, like really orthodox religions. They're like, okay, sex is only for childbirth. So we're not, or bearing children, and we're not having sex.
Yeah.
It's just only for that. So how do they?
I would have to stay in my own lane on that. Like,
Mhm.
I don't know how they would, because that would be so culturally sensitive to understand, what's important to them, what's not. For me, I mean, maybe they can do other things, but at the very least, there should be the affection, the hugs, the kisses, that type of stuff.
Got it. So in relationships that the sex isn't there, and the couples are like, well, we're still fine. Like, some people are watching this going, we probably have sex once a month,
Yeah.
but we kiss each other every day, we hug each other every day, we're like respectful to each other every day.
If that's their natural rhythm, I'm down with it. Like, if they're
If
once
that's
a
how it
month,
started and stayed.
my prescription for 2 to 3 times a week is like for that.
For the
I'm catching the
emotional.
bell curve,
Got
the main part. But
Because
if
I'm
we're
trying to get the root secret sauce of that, and it seems like it's just some sort of like physical intimacy, however way that couple kind of like.
yeah, well, so obviously for men it's important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. For now, not all men. I mean, I work with a ton of men that don't desire their wives at all, and that's really
bad.
hard. That's like hard. But for the majority of us men, 2 to 3 times a week is like a good rhythm, especially when you're 49 like me. I'm like, that's perfect. I'm tired and stuff like that. Now, I know all the women out there are going to be like, yeah, that's, how can you expect 2 to 3 times a week? And, it's another chore and something I got to cross off my list and stuff like that. So for a lot of women to say to all the women listeners, yeah, you need to have sex 2 to 3 times a week with your husband, you're going to be like, F you. He doesn't even do the dishes, right?
Well, he does want to F her, but yes.
Basically, yeah. Now,
Well, he does make the dishes.
Yeah.
And pay for the food that went on the dishes. No, never mind.
Yeah. I get that. But think of it though, if he's getting sex 2 to 3 times a week, he must be inputting into the emotional system well enough that she desires him 2 to 3 times a week. So it's kind of like, we don't need to have sex to have the emotional connection. We don't need the emotional connection to have sex. I don't care where you start. Just start somewhere, right? So if you're a couple that's only having sex once every 6 months, I'm like, get on it. Those are rookie numbers. Get them higher. And then the emotional connection will come. Or, some of them will say, I need the emotional connection before the sex. Well, then work on the emotional. I really don't care where you start, but you both need a goal. Because I do believe that if you're having sex 2 to 3 times a week, that's a sign that things are good, right? That means she wants it 2 to 3 times a week. And that means he's doing the work to connect with her emotionally to get her to say yes 2 to 3 times a week.
But sometimes couples let themselves go after a while, and then they get out of shape, and then they're just not into having sex anymore because they're disgusted with their own bodies. They're sad, they're upset, they're depressed.
Yeah.
They're not healthy, and they just don't want to have sex anymore. What do you tell those kind of clients?
Well, it's kind of like our health. Like, what do you do with your health? If you let that go, and now you're going to let go of some of the most important protective factors in a person's life, which is their romantic relationship. So now your body looks like crap and you feel like crap. Your relationship is now shitty. Now your job sucks. Like, pretty soon you're then you're going to, like, in a year from now, turn to me and be like, she's the problem. She's the whole reason for all my pain in my life. I'm going to leave. Right. So people need to dig deep and find some way to connect with their partner and build a better relationship.
So it seems like couples therapy is really like individual therapy. Like, you just got to work on yourself, make sure your like health, fitness, wealth, job, everything's aligned so that you can be the best version of yourself.
Basically, I would say I'm probably more a salesman every single day than I am a couples therapist.
What do you sell?
Well, think of it like a personal trainer. You go to the gym or a dietitian, they're just trying to sell you this belief that you can do it, that you can build a better body, you could eat better, you could improve your health. All I do all day long is try to convince couples that they could actually, if they put the effort in, build a better relationship.
What chance do you see succeed?
For me, it's hard. It's probably skewed because I charge a lot of money for working with my clients, right? So, whether it's my 5-week program is like $3,000, my other program's $15,000. So people that come to me, they want to make it work, right? They're putting a lot of money in. But if you go to the average couples therapist who's charging $150 an hour, there's not a lot of skin in the game. So for a lot of those couples, you know, I would say the rate's probably 25% because they're going to that couples therapist saying, yeah, like we tried and it didn't work. And now I can, you know, walk out the door with my head held high because knowing I gave it my best shot. Right. So with me, I would say it's probably about 80% success.
Got it.
Yeah.
So you're just saying it's 80 because of the pool of the
because I pull people that
want to fix it.
That actually want to fix
they
it. They
want
want
to fix their
spend
relationship.
that kind of money to work through it.
Yeah. Now I do a lot of work with couples. Like I give a lot of stuff free on Instagram. Anyone can DM me. I answer every single. I have no like 18-year-old kid wanting
last
to
words.
Manage my DMs.
He used to say that.
Are you using AI to answer DMs?
No, I'm not. No, I answer myself.
Yeah, I answer every single DM.
There was a point where he wouldn't look up for like 2 weeks.
Really?
Yeah. He'd get in the car high,
crazy,
and then just the whole drive wherever we go.
Yeah, I don't. You know, like God put me on this earth. I'm on a mission to save 1 million marriages, and all I want to do is, and that's the trade-off I made with God. I said, you got me here, and part of the reason why we're here in LA and just like this move that we're planning to the US, hopefully one day, it's my career's taken off, and I was like, you know, I need to pay that forward. I need to pay that back, and so I give a lot of my time away for free. Whether it's, you know, I DM with people all the time. I get on calls sometimes with people that they can't afford it. I don't turn anyone away if they can't afford it. Like if someone's saying to me, I've got 2 kids, we're broke, could barely, you know, put food on the table, but we want to save our relationship, I'll work with them. And I've done that. I do that now, even though I'm highly paid. I still do that because I have those people that pay top dollar to allow me to then go give some of my time for free to people. And that's kind of where my soft spot is. But
what are some top pointers you would give to couples that need therapy?
I mean, the first is I always tell them to make 2 vows. The first is we live in such an like self-centered world. Like everything that we do is for ourselves, right? You know, you have a best friend and stuff like that. You'll start doing stuff for someone else because you love the relationship, right? But in your own marital relationship or your own romantic relationship, far too often we're so individualistic thinking. You guys have heard on Instagram, you see these reels. A man will sacrifice his happiness for his family. A woman will sacrifice her family for her happiness, right? Mm-hmm. So that just kind of talks about like how men and women are different. It tries to pit men against women, which I don't like to get involved in that. But the biggest thing is that the biggest takeaway from it all is we all go through life through this lens of what can I get out of life? And so I give my couples 2 vows. I say, if you want to make your marriage work, commit to your partner and say, I vow to hold your emotional well-being ahead of my own indefinitely. So that means I'm going to wake up every single day thinking, how can I put you first? Which is like selflessness, right? And then the second vow I have couples make with one another is I vow to show up better today in our relationship than I did yesterday. And so these are commitments that a lot of people, because you don't hear those commitments on your wedding day. It's like through sickness and health and whatnot. I won't cheat. But no one says, I'm going to put you ahead of me. And I think that's what we need to do. So I make all of my couples go through those 2 vows. And I think that's kind of setting the framework for how we move forward.
Respect is also a huge thing in a relationship, right?
For men.
Just respecting each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
In a relationship, like not breaking or not crossing that respect boundary that you have, like always having that person be having their back, sort of like having your partner's back, so that they're never like, for example, if there's some gossip, like you tell it was an interesting story. One of the, I think married couples that was telling me something that if he said, if my wife goes behind my back at a bar and talks to a guy, she'll come and tell me first, hey, I just talked to this guy. Mm-hmm. And then she'll tell me first, so that in the event this ever comes out, mm-hmm. I already know about it. So if another couple tries to come and gossip and say, oh, I saw your wife talking to some other dude, he's like, I already know, my wife told me. That's kind of like,
that's huge to me. Yeah. Like that little vignette that you painted to me is like, that's the only woman I'd want to be with. And to me, like I call it like putting off this aura I call it relationship signaling. Like, I am not friends with any woman. I have 3 women in my life, my wife and my 2 daughters. My mom and sisters, they're on the periphery. But aside from those 3, I have no desire to be friends with females. I'll be acquaintances with them. I'll be friends with them if they're friends of my wife. I'll be kind, you know what I mean? I'm not going out for coffee with you. I'm not having a one-on-one chat with you. I'm not calling you on my phone. That's the relationship signaling and the respect that I have for my wife. And so that little vignette that you painted to me, I think for men is huge. Like, I have a big abandonment loyalty issue, which is, you could probably detect.
Where did that come from?
Well, basically my dad. So my mom basically fled with me and my sister for her life. But as a young boy, I wouldn't have known that my mom left my dad. I would have just seen my dad was not in the house. And then, for the 20, 30 years after that, he was an absentee dad. So basically I grew up with that. And I think a lot of men grew up with this. We grew up with this belief that we're leavable. Because if our dad would leave us, then we must be leavable as young boys, right? And then we grow up into being leavable. And so we carry this forward. So for a lot of men, we don't want a woman who would ever signal to us that she could leave us.
I kind of disagree. I think in a relationship, if a woman is leavable and the man is leavable and you both have respect for one another and you both love each other, that holds the respect to a higher level. Because you're like, if I misspeak or I'm disrespectful or if I step out of line, she could leave.
For sure.
And then she'll think, well, if I misspeak, if I step out of line, he could leave. And we both like this relationship and we both want to keep this relationship. And it keeps the relationship going, lasting longer because you're both basically on your toes every single day with respect. And that that if you step out of line, she's not like, you know what I mean? Like when you're in a relationship with someone and they're like just madly in love with you and like this person's never going to leave. I can walk all over them. They're never going to leave. That just usually is like a recipe for disaster because then one side will abuse the other side emotionally or cheat or do whatever. But when you're both on independent enough that you can both walk away, but you choose to stay, I don't know. I just feel like that is a stronger relationship long term.
Yeah, I think we're just talking like around the periphery. I think we're thinking the same thing. For me, it's about I show up every single day in the way I behave to let my wife know that she's not. To me, she's not leavable. To me, she's perfect, and I want to invest. The relationship is perfect, and I want to continue to invest in that. And that keeps me in line and it keeps her in line because she wants to be respectful. And, she's not going to go would you be okay with your girlfriend or your wife going to a bar and letting guys buy her drinks all night, even though she wouldn't kiss or cheat or anything like that?
I would. I mean, look, I wouldn't be, it wouldn't bother me.
It bothers me.
The relationship. Well, the reason why it wouldn't bother me is because, again, I know what I bring to the table. I know what she brings to the table. And we both know we love each other and we're both committed to each other. And if she goes to a bar with her girlfriends and a guy buys her drinks, I know she could buy her own drinks. And that she probably won't take the drink. But if a guy buys her a drink and she does take it, I know it's not, she'll come home and tell me and say, oh, we went to a bar. It was hilarious. This guy tried to buy us drinks. And you know what I mean? I'll hear it before when we go hang out the next time and another girlfriend of hers will be like, hey, did you know your wife had someone buy her drinks? So it really wouldn't bother me because I know where we are. And again, I always go worst case scenario. What's the worst case scenario? If some guy bought her drinks and then she cheated or whatever, then we'd break up.
For sure.
That's the end of it. So like, what's the worst thing that can happen? The worst thing that can happen is you end it, you find another relationship. It sucks. It hurts. You got to go through a lot of pain. Yeah. But whatever, you go through it, you get over it. It's I don't know. Some of my friends say I'm built different. It just doesn't. I don't let these little things get to me.
Honestly, I think everyone's different. Yeah. Like I'm open. I talked about my own abandonment issues, right? So for me, loyalty is such an enormous thing, right? And I truly believe that a man's job is to cherish his wife, right? For me, I rely on my faith. It's in the Bible. It talks about, but even if you have no faith, I still believe the Bible is a book on how to do marriage well, right? Cherish your wife is not bad advice, right? But on the flip side of that is if I'm going to cherish my wife, then she needs to let herself be cherished. the Bible didn't tell me to cherish other wives or other women. It told me to cherish one. So on the flip side, I would like to think that the Bible's also telling my wife to be cherished by one man, not cherished by other men. So for me, I think a woman being cherished with gifts, free drinks, buy you dinner, whatnot.
Well, buying dinner is different. We're talking about a bar, and like you can be respectful and accept it. Thank you very much, and take the drink
for sure.
And just I'm in a relationship. For sure, just kind of ended there.
You're a stronger man than me.
No, I mean I just see both. I just see it as like, look, if she's gonna leave,
then
sure.
There's what I 100% agree.
Yeah. If I'm not doing my job every single day to keep my wife with me, then it's my fault that she accepted the drink and went off with someone else. Yeah. That just means it's a reflection of me and the amount of effort I put into that relationship. If I'm putting everything in that relationship and I'm doing everything I can, we both have respect for each other, and she does get a drink from another guy, she is going to say she's married. She is not going to take it any further, and it's just going to be one drink. I view it that way. And if it does go more, then I didn't do a good job.
He is built different, eh? But I do have to say it was interesting because you said buying dinner separate, right?
Well, buying dinner is different because buying someone dinner is you went on a date. That's 2 hours.
Not necessarily, but they could have been work colleagues.
That's still a 2-hour thing. A drink is a random encounter and you're just being polite.
But so where I'm going with this is that I think you're proving my point though, because what it is basically we're talking about a spectrum. So like
your spectrum's different than his spectrum.
Yeah, but we're talking about the same thing. Because like for you, buying a drink may not be an issue. For someone else, buying coffee may not be an issue, but beyond coffee to a drink, that could be an issue, right?
Well, that's like saying, let me paint you the picture. Buying someone a drink, you're in a loud, crowded bar. Mm-hmm. Someone comes up within like 15 seconds or 20 seconds and buys you a drink. Mm-hmm. A dinner is essentially a date if it's a coworker thing. Because the way it depends on how it's presented. If you're saying having dinner with someone, that's like, hey, I know you're married. It's 8 p.m. on a Friday night. Leave your husband at home and let's you and I go on a dinner to some fancy restaurant and have like a 2-3 hour dinner. Now, who's going to be okay with that?
Yeah,
that just means the relationship is not strong. That just means that the relationship is failing.
But it could be strong because she could be the type of woman who could also get a drink and it not mean anything, but she could also go out for dinner with a guy and it not mean anything. Doesn't mean she's going to cheat.
If she's telling her husband, but if she's telling her husband, hey, I'm going to go to dinner with so-and-so tonight, then it's fine. Go ahead, go. If she's withholding that information, then she has other intentions. And then you're like, okay, if you have other intentions, the relationship is either something's wrong with it.
I 100% agree. But I think this is a good engagement question for Instagram. Ask, is it okay if your wife or girlfriend,
you can't ask these questions because people have so many different.
They'll
interpret the crap out of the question.
I just think the reason why
he's doing it for the interaction.
I know, but they'll ask so many weird like.
I'll put it on my Instagram. I'm gonna say this.
Went from like,
but they're gonna
hear and just fucking skyrocket.
No, because what happens is you ask one simple question to Instagram. You go, is it okay for your wife to get a free drink at a bar, or for someone to buy your wife a free drink?
Significant other.
One guy's gonna be like, why does it have to be 2 women? Why does it have to be a man? Why couldn't it be a woman? Why couldn't she be independent and buy her own drink? You know what I mean? Everyone's got like so many.
I don't engage in anything with an ism.
The troll.
Anything with an ism that ends in ISM, I don't talk about ever. Yeah. You can't find it.
Well, you're right. It is a good question to ask.
It's a good question to ask. I just think part of the reason why my success on Instagram is because I'm speaking to people that women don't want a man, their husband or their partner slipping into DMs of other women. Men don't want some guy slipping into the DMs of his wife or his girlfriend. It's just the way it is. We live in a society that's constantly trying to break down that relationship and test it all the time. Basically, where I'm going with it is that if my wife were to go out to a bar and entertain a guy buying her a drink, I use this expression. At that point, she's not playing for quarters in the garage.
She wants attention.
She's playing high stakes poker with our relationship.
Yeah.
Because at some point, I'm going to observe that. Whether she comes home and tells me, or her friend tells me, I'm going to observe and I'm going to say, my wife was letting guys buy her drinks at a bar. What message is she sending me? And a big thing that I promote is that how we behave sends a message to our partner. Now, you guys clearly are very, very strong in your relationship, a lot stronger than I would be. But I just believe that I don't want any other woman to get the impression that I could cherish her because the only woman I can cherish is my wife. And in return, I want to know that the only man my wife would let cherish her would be me.
Well, you also, in a relationship, you add up all the green flags and the red flags.
Yeah.
And all the green flags tell me in my relationship that her having someone buy her a drink at a bar is a non-issue.
Is that a neutral flag, red flag, or green flag?
What is?
In general, the drink.
If a girl is going out and she wants the attention of other men and has them buy her drinks, then that's a red flag.
Red flag.
That's a general red flag in women.
Yeah.
Or in men, if they're going out clubbing at
and buying
2 in the morning and buying drinks for other women, that's a red flag if he's in a relationship. But just in general, like we were talking about this the other day, we had I'm not gonna mention who or what, but the question came up of the girl that we were speaking to in a business setting, and we're like, well, how do people find you? She's like, oh, I don't have any social media. We're like, that's a good green flag. That's a huge green flag. Huge if a woman doesn't have any social media accounts, and then we both were like, that's like the number one green flag of every single guy. Date a girl that has zero social media
or like
accounts.
Private with a small following.
Private, small following, yeah.
You see a girl with a private jet, you're like, oh god.
I have a red flag, green flag question for you then, based on social media, because I did a reel on this that had like a ton of views. A woman with in her profile pic of just her and her kids, red flag, green flag.
Well, that just tells me that with her kids is a green flag, because it tells me she's in a marriage, she's married, and the most important things to her are her kids. That's what that picture says.
What do you think?
I'm going based off my own experiences.
Based on what your gut tells you.
Red.
I'm a total red flag.
Why is that a red flag? She's showing what's important to her.
Because the father of the kids is missing from that profile pic. So for me, it's either she does.
Well, what if you want it to be private?
Well, that's a good excuse for sure. That's a good.
But
reason.
If you want it to be private, why post your kids?
Yeah.
Well, that's important to her.
Good point.
The kids are important to her.
I usually see my experience is that when the father's missing, or vice versa, sometimes it can be the dad, just the kids, and not the wife. It usually signals to me that there's some type of distress in the relationship.
That just tells me it's her social media account, and his account probably has some other, probably like fishing or hunting in it.
But we're basing this theory on LA.
Again, but
he's basing it on.
If she wanted to move around and get things, she wouldn't have kids in the picture. She'd have her all done up.
No, I don't.
In the profile picture.
For me, it's a red flag because it's not relationship signaling. It's not saying to the world that she's proud of her husband.
But it could be that she's a single mom and the kids are so important to her too.
For sure.
So again, it wouldn't be a red flag.
I guess you'd have to rephrase the question: is she married or
in a committed relationship?
That's different. Yeah.
But I got a lot of hate for that one when I said that.
Because there could be a lot of single moms that have their pictures in it. I thought it was a single mom or a dad that just wanted to be private.
I thought it was married.
I thought military or some sort of job that he just did not want to have any.
Which are totally, but that's not meant to capture the ethos of the question. The ethos of the question is if a woman or man, whoever it is, if your profile pic has you and your kids, but your spouse or your significant other is missing from the picture, is that a red flag or green flag? I personally think it's a red flag. Not that they're a bad person. I just see it as a sign or a symptom that there's some type of breakdown in the relationship. Because otherwise, why wouldn't you want your spouse in the photo with you as a family photo, right?
Yeah, either you go single or
you either go single or you go everyone. But just
I personally, when I have friends that have a picture of him and his wife together as a profile picture, I'm like, bro, grow up, grow your own account. Put your wife in her own account. You have your own account. There's no need for a shared social media account. That's just my personal take. You want to have your social media, have your own account. Don't share one.
I agree from a leadership masculine perspective for sure. But he could just be happy and in love and want to.
This is what makes the dynamics.
This is such a great podcast. I love it.
It's called Truth Hurts for a reason.
Fuck. The last 2 weeks, we've had some good ones.
It's funny. Yeah, it's a lot of funny stuff. But yeah, I mean, I just don't understand why guys have a shared account with their spouse. I know
people actually have shared accounts.
Yes,
for sure.
They have husband and wife in one picture.
The best is the shared email. I get a lot of that actually. A lot of people.
You can tell that there's one jealous person in that relationship.
Yeah.
That's not a healthy relationship.
I agree.
That's what it signals to me.
People share emails.
People share emails. I have couples that I've worked with that I've had to email, and it's like to one email address. It'll be like Pete and Jill
That
at gmail.com or something.
That almost makes the other person go and cheat because they're on so much surveillance that they're like, you know what? There's a reason why I'm on surveillance. Like I should be doing something. Why am I not doing anything? Why am I being loyal? She's expecting me to cheat, so I might as well go cheat. It just kind of like forces you into like doing something.
And my experience is the partner that's overly controlling is the cheater.
I know, because they know that they're cheating and they're like, well, he's probably cheating too. Yeah. And they're doing that. It's fun watching couples.
Wait.
What?
These are the people that are paying you a small fortune to do couples therapy and they're still sharing?
Some of them are. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that's why.
I was just asking the question.
It's a trust issue, right? That's like.
I mean, sometimes it'll be that like I could see it for practical purposes that they need like family planning and like for events and stuff like that. And like, for example, my wife has access to my wife has my email on her email. She just added it to her account. She sees all my emails. She gets everything but Instagram, mostly because if it was up to me to plan stuff, I would never plan stuff. Right.
Yeah.
So I can see it for that reason, but I definitely think there's a lot out there where it could be the jealousy factor. Yeah. But men do have a problem with social media.
What kind of problem?
I mean, porn, and I just did a reel on this on OnlyFans. OnlyFans.
You have an OnlyFans?
I don't.
Oh, well, you said you did a reel.
Can you imagine I started an OnlyFans with my wife?
I was going to say.
Patreon, maybe.
Patreon's better. No, because you said you started a reel on OnlyFans. Oh, about.
I did a reel about OnlyFans.
Okay. Got it.
So if a married man subscribes to an OnlyFans channel, is that cheating? Yes or no?
Well,
I said yes.
I don't think watching porn is cheating.
But that's different. That's paying for porn.
But they're still paying. I mean, you're paying for porn either way.
But you know the creator, and oftentimes you're paying them and you're DMing them and you're sending them messages.
Well, what's the difference with? I'm not defending either one, but I'm just saying, I'm devil's advocate. What's the difference with you paying for a porn video about a porn star, or specifically going to and downloading a video of a porn star? And she's getting paid that way as well.
You're not in contact with that person.
You're not in contact.
Oh, you don't think they're going to be on Instagram going, I love your content, keep it going?
Bro, it's a porn, like not.
Well, then that's
what I'm saying. Porn is porn. I mean,
But where I think OnlyFans, and I could be completely wrong on this, but I think the reason it exploded is a lot of these. Oh, you weren't there for that episode, but this one therapist said most guys aren't losing their virginity till around 25 now.
Really? Oh, we heard that. Yeah, we heard that from the pickup artist also.
Because they're able to have these online relationships, OnlyFans, girls sending them nudes, able to jerk off and having conversation, not realizing the person he is really talking to.
So I didn't know that's
some dude from the Philippines or somewhere else that's managing all of their DMs. So now it's became an emotional relationship. With you think it's her, but it's really a dude, which is a whole nother conflict.
So they basically get the talent, and then the talent will hire some company in the Philippines.
Oh, there's management companies this is a whole business.
Wow.
Got it. So it depends on the intent. I think it goes back to the intent. What is the intent? Is it to cheat? Like if you had an opportunity?
I think the intent is for him to just jerk off and have an orgasm. It's basically the intent.
So here's the question. If she said, meet me down the street in Motel 6 and we can have sex, would he do it or would he not do it? Or is it just an online fantasy that he has?
It could be one in both. Either way, though, the message that he sends his wife is like, I don't want to jerk off to you. I want to go and pay some woman $8 a month and DM with her. And
unless your wife's cool with the fantasy or girlfriend.
No.
Yeah,
here's my question.
Fine.
What guy?
You're excluded from this conversation, technically.
Okay, but I was going to ask, just, when I was a teenager in relationships and stuff, what guy would jerk off to the girl that they were dating?
Internet didn't exist back then.
Yeah. Shut up, bro. I'm like, internet didn't, what is this, like the 1700s?
No.
I was born during the internet.
Yeah, 56K dial-up.
Yeah, but when you and I,
I'm 45.
I'm 49.
Okay, so I was
I'm
on
37. It didn't exist.
Yes, it did.
Bro,
94, I was 14, I had broadband.
It was dial-up.
When I was 19 and the internet was just coming out, you would go to these sites and they had
it would take
thumbnails.
Forever. It would take forever.
All you do was click on the thumbnail and it would take like 2 minutes to load, and then you get this larger picture, and then you'd back out of that and go, and you basically just spent the time trying to find the thumbnail that you wanted to come to, and that's basically how it was. There was
getting
no
emails and everything was horrible. It was just awful. It's not like it is today. For sure.
But
yeah.
today people
But going
are like surrounded
going
with
back
it
to your
on-
question, I think I see the difference now between porn and OnlyFans. I didn't know like you could do all that with OnlyFans of like really having this.
You
like,
could essentially it's a private
one-on-one.
DM.
It's
with
a
that
private
person.
one-on-one conversation. That's essentially
and you
cheating.
can send tips to that person. Like it's a whole,
that's a relationship, bro. That's an online relationship.
It's a full-on
It's a long distance.
It's
online
definitely an emotional relationship.
Sugar daddy type of a relationship.
plus,
well, Stevia daddy because it's like $8. It ain't that much money.
The therapist I had on a while ago though was like, essentially these guys are learning that they don't have to hear no.
Yeah.
And they don't have to walk up to someone and get rejected of, hey, would you like to go to dinner? Would you like to get a coffee? And
You know, was
I'm
it
not
a
saying-
female therapist that said that?
It's actually a dude.
It was a dude.
And I'm not saying he's right or wrong. I'm just saying, unfortunately, it's just easier for some people because they don't want to hear no.
Yeah. I have a big problem when we take that and we flip it into this power thing where we start diagnosing men and
So now we're getting into
25-year-old.
prostitution.
Yeah.
And this is an interesting topic. No, because we're moving on from porn to
I see
OnlyFans to
this
then.
smile on your face, so the next day
Why?
it's gonna be great.
No, I'm just curious because you were talking about power dynamics. Why do you think men or women hire prostitutes? Mostly men, but we know some women hire.
I mean,
gigolos.
I ultimately think people have a fantasy to have sex. I mean, Charlie Sheen said, I hire prostitutes to pay them to go away, right? So, it's to have the sex.
Charlie Sheen is a train wreck. I love that guy. He's so funny. He's
Right?
a great comedian.
I don't pay for the sex. I pay them to go away.
Yeah.
They're paying for the sex, right? They want sex, right? And I mean, I've never paid for sex. I don't look at porn now. I did back when I was an 18, 19-year-old. I think
But there is a
for
cost
me, I
for
started
sex.
with the Sears catalog, right? You grow out of that. But I just think sadly but I think that's just testosterone. That's just
But there is
hormones,
a cost
which
for
is
sex.
why when I said I don't like how some therapist is going on to start diagnosing this generation of men who 25-year-olds that can't accept no. And I'm like, bullshit. You know what? I don't want to deny that that's not happening, but I'm just not going to diagnose a bunch of 25-year-old.
No, and I
boys.
think the mold can be broken.
Yeah.
If that mold does exist.
I think it's just a carnal thing, testosterone, want to pay for sex. I don't think a lot of women are buying sex.
But well, I mean, there's what is that cost per nut that guys have? No, everyone essentially
Is that a new KPI, cost per nut.
Eventually, it is a KPI. It's one of the key process indicators.
Key performance
Indicators. It's you do. I mean, like dates. Getting
Gifts.
G'd up from the feet up, like getting ready for a date, going out to a restaurant. Guys sometimes do count. Like, what's my cost per nut with this date? You know what I mean? Like, I spent $1,000. I hooked up with her twice. It cost me $500. I might as well got a prostitute. You know what I mean? And then let half the work.
I told you it'd be a great episode, Jonathan.
Right, Jonathan? There is a cost. Whether it's direct or indirect, there is a cost.
Arguably, nothing is more expensive than your time.
Correct. So if you add that to it, then your cost per nut is even higher.
Don't worry, I'll send you this clip, John. You can post it.
He's turning red.
every time he says that. That was his son. We were on the beach yesterday.
Oh, okay.
It's the coffee.
And then coffee.
So I think that's how some men justify it. They're like, you know what? I'm going to go on all these dates. It's going to take me like hours and hours and hours. And it's going to cost me this much money. I might as well just go pay for it and not deal with it. And I think that's the Charlie Sheen route.
Yeah. I think it's the Charlie Sheen route. I think it's the, well, you said the previous guests you guys have said, what was it? Like bank your sperm.
Yeah. The 50-mile rule.
50-mile rule.
Yeah. Well, bank your sperm.
And he
don't
also
get
said
married and stuff
prostitution's
like
okay
that.
too. I think he said prostitution or strippers are okay.
No, he said strippers, though.
So he said strippers are a train wreck because they can
He
get
said
pregnant.
don't marry one.
Don't marry one, and
Yeah.
definitely don't get one pregnant, and definitely don't get two separate ones pregnant.
But even the Andrew Tates of the world, like I subscribe to his mailing list when I wanted. Basically, he reminds me of my dad, right?
Oh shit!
So Andrew Tate, I tell everyone subscribe to his email list so you can basically do the exact opposite and you'll have a recipe for a happy life.
What does he say?
He's like, women shouldn't vote. Don't ever marry a woman. just have like kids with multiple women, basically trash, don't get married, all that other stuff, right? And
but you think he really believes that, or that's just for engagement?
I think it's both. I think it's engagement. Right? I think he's ruined a generation of men. And but just subscribe to his mailing list and then do the opposite. Like that's what I did with my dad. My dad, as I said, left when we left when I was 4, and I just lived my life doing the opposite of him. So then it turned out really well. So I would say to all these young men, basically do the opposite of Andrew Tate and you'll have a good life.
Do you have a relationship with your father now?
No, he's passed away.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Did you ever have anything?
The
before?
One thing, it was very tumultuous throughout my 40 years that he was alive. And the one thing he did give me a positive self-image. So he was, I'm trying to decide how much to share, but basically he struggled with drug addiction his entire life. He had so many personal issues his entire life that destroyed all his relationships, every last one. But because of his own issues, he always said to us, "You're amazing. You can accomplish whatever you want." So he gave me this sense of believe in yourself and you could do and be whoever you want to be. So I thank him for that. Like I wouldn't change my childhood one bit. I mean, I'm successful because of it, not despite it. But I think, this generation of the Andrew Tates and stuff like that telling us to lose faith in marriage. Marriage can be a beautiful, wonderful thing if you work at it. And I think what the problem is that so many men think if I work on my marriage, and I have clients where a lot of men, they're afraid to say sorry to their wife because if they say sorry and admit that they were wrong, then she's just going to unload more blame on him. Right. And the reality is you've got to say sorry. You've got to show up, but so does she. Like the world isn't built for women, and us as men aren't just big giant screw ups that have ruined women's lives. No, we can be good, honest, strong leaders. And if she's not pulling her weight, she's got to step up too. Like she doesn't get a free pass. It's all the marital issues that we have is not because of men. They're 50-50. Although all the women that come to me and all the couples that come to me are convinced that if I just fix the husband, their marriage will be great. I've worked with women that have had emotional affairs on their husband. We're still so pissed off at the husband because he didn't do the dishes and he didn't prioritize her that she couldn't even say sorry for the emotional affair that she'd had with someone else.
Damn.
I think
that's fucked
I was going to say,
right?
One important factor is the selection in the beginning. I think what I've seen over the years is a lot of people just roll into a relationship and just keep rolling it into a marriage and thinking this is what needs to happen now. This is just, but then you have to kind of say, you know what? I'm not going to just roll into it because it's expected of me to now get engaged and get married. Mm-hmm. Is this person a good fit? Mm-hmm. And I was 27 when I was in that situation where I was engaged. I was just kind of going through the motions of going, well, been together for X amount of years. We live together now. Mm-hmm. We should get engaged. And I did get engaged. And I got to a point I was like, I looked at myself in the mirror. I was like, dude, I'm miserable. And I can't see myself being miserable for the next 50 years of my life, just going with the flow. Because my parents are like, everything on paper makes sense, but we don't make sense. Mm-hmm. Like I'm just not happy with this person. One of the hardest things to do was to kind of break something that made sense on paper. Yeah. And then just kind of follow my own path and lead to the relationship that I'm in now, which is great. And it doesn't feel like a relationship. It just feels like
it feels normal. It feels natural.
It feels normal. Like the things that you're describing of like people going through it, it sounds foreign to me.
Or binge watching Persian Love Island for 30 minutes.
Yeah. Like I'm just saying, I think if like a lot of the younger generation, because our demographic's 20 to 45. Yeah. The 25-year-olds that are not married or thinking about like, maybe getting married or they're in a relationship, that may not be the right relationship. Just because it's too hard to break up or too hard to end things doesn't mean that you just get married because it's just too difficult. Now it's going to get harder down the road.
For sure. You should be very discerning. What's that saying? Be slow to hire, quick to fire.
And also in construction, we say measure twice, cut once.
Yeah. Yeah. You should take your time with a girl, but definitely don't lose faith and hope in the institution of marriage. Like it's a beautiful thing. I couldn't
with the right person, it is.
With the right person, you build a family, you build a home, build a life together. I don't think anyone at 70, 65 wants to be by themselves. I want to take my wife to Greece. I want to go eat moussaka and Santorini. You know, I want to enjoy life with a woman.
For a man, the right woman will make you or break you.
Yeah.
And if you find the right woman and you marry that right woman, she'll take you to places in your life that you've never been before.
For sure.
Hands on. It's not the same as a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship.
No.
The right woman that you marry will make or break you.
Yeah.
And it's one of the most important decisions a man ever makes in his life.
Yeah, definitely. And it's why I say to my girls too, I'm like, no woman should ever live with a man before they're married.
I disagree with that one. Only because, I mean, you have 2 girls. I don't have kids.
Yeah.
But me living with my wife before we got married got me a window into what our future would be like.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a little better understanding of like how she is. Is she, you know, like you could tell a woman, are they clean? Are they dirty? In a sense of like, is the bedroom a mess? Are the dishes just out of control? Like, is she a really, you could tell like how that person was brought up if you're compatible or not. A little bit better than when everyone's on their best behavior on a date and you never see their place or see how they are first thing in the morning without makeup. But
then if your wife is messy and, you know, kind of leaves stuff on the counter, you could just go clean it.
You can, but then it's just another thing that could potentially 10 years down the road when it's a stressful relationship, when you have kids, when you have all this stuff, then she's teaching those messy habits to your kids, and then your kids are going to, you know what I mean? It could, like, for example, if she's lacking discipline or you're lacking discipline, and just little red flags that are important to you. It might not be important to you. It might be important to me, but you're looking at certain things and you're like, no, these are like tiny little things that are eventually going to snowball. And like, you know, because everyone has a certain amount of patience or discipline that they can handle throughout the day, and it just wears down. And if it's already difficult being in a relationship, it's difficult having kids, it's difficult with jobs and bills and everything. If you just add more tiny little things to just keep like frustrating you.
I would agree with that. The only thing is that you're living in the physical and the mental plane of existence when you're looking at the chores and dividing the stuff around the house. You're not up in the emotional.
Well, I was saying the idiosyncrasies of a person. Really, it's kind of like understanding like what is their.
But if you met a woman who was messy as all fuck and couldn't keep a house at all, but raised your kids, supported you, never let you walk around a single day in your life without feeling like you had a best friend and someone who stood behind you when all the chips were down, would that best friend be worth cleaning up around the house?
In that scenario,
See, for me,
in that scenario,
which is why
I'll just hire a maid.
Go hire a maid. And Deepak Chopra would say that don't hire the math tutor for the kid who's got an amazing music voice. Go hire a singing coach and pay the accountants to do the math. So like which is why when I get couples reaching out to me, he won't clean, she won't do this, I'm like, you guys are living at the lowest form of emotion of connection to another human, either the physical or the
example was just an example.
But it's a very the example you bring though is not. It's a
more
very
the idiosyncrasies. It's more the idiosyncrasies of the person of like, what is this person truly?
Yeah.
And are we compatible?
Yeah, but and I just think the compatibility should always be on that spiritual and that emotional.
I'm assuming
level.
all that's there. I'm assuming like all that's there for you to want to move in, and then once you move in, you're like, oh, whoa, this like, there's some things I don't know about this person now.
But I don't think there's any end to that though. Like, you know, what if you marry someone and they get into a car accident, and then now your life is completely changed? I wouldn't go into a marriage thinking, well, I want to have to like, you know, take care of someone for the rest of my life, and then that happens.
But so if you're married, basically, then you should stay. I mean, I would stay.
But what I'm saying is that like what you do in the day to day, for me, those are just so unimportant than this like bond that we have of friendship, of, you know, connected. You know, we're. But
what if you go to her house and she's boiling cats in the basement? Then you're like, whoa, you hit this pretty good. In Canada. He's from Canada. He said he lived in the basement.
We do have basements.
But he lives in Panama now.
Yeah.
I know, but I'm just...
He's thinking about moving to the States. We don't really have basements.
Yeah. Do you guys have basements here?
We do in like tornado areas.
Yeah.
Like Oklahoma.
Not in California.
Not in California.
No one's...
I had 2 houses that had basements here in California, and they were built in like the 1900s. Like very old.
Okay.
But yeah.
But my rationale for not getting married pre-living together is mostly because it's about a commitment thing. Like I get some couples want to live together, they don't want to get married. That's fine. I'm not speaking to them, but I'm speaking to those men and women that crave, that really want to be married. I'd advise people, don't get strung along for 2-3 years.
Well, yeah, because a lot of people say, like, when you live together, the guy's saying, I have the cow, I get the milk for free.
Exactly.
Why marry the cow?
Yeah. So
or buy the cow, whatever it is.
And I guess where that comes from is it just drives me nuts, the amount of DMs I get from, great young women, 26 to 28. I get them from France, from Monaco. I get DMs from women in LA, and they're like, my boyfriend won't commit. We've been together 3 years. He won't buy me a ring. He talks about a ring. I'm like, he hasn't bought you a ring in 3 years.
He's probably young,
pick
too.
Another boyfriend.
He's probably young, too, because if he's like 27, 28 himself, he's probably not wanting to get married.
Yeah, and I think that's the problem. But a 26-year-old woman is like at her peak.
Yeah,
like she's perfect.
Like she needs a 35-year-old guy. I think.
But I would argue that a man at 27 is at his peak too. I don't want to be picking up kids at 50.
Well, we live a lot longer now, and like 40 is the new 30.
Not gonna lie.
Why?
I'm 37 and picking up 2 kids with my back. Fucking kill.
Yeah.
What happened, Mr. What happened,
kids?
Mr. Hire a maid? Why don't you hire a live-in to do all that for you?
Holding Maddie on one arm, Cameron on the other.
Yeah.
I got a 3.5-year-old and an 8-month-old.
No, I think I tell my girls 25 is like perfect age for kids. I'm like,
I think
let's
guys,
get back to younger.
35 is a good age to get married because you want to get your. I think you got to get your job, you got to get your career, you got to get some sort of money.
No, but I think it's better to get married when you're broke, and so that she can help build you up to be the man, and that you're both inputting in those early days into this beautiful marriage and this beautiful.
But you don't know anything in your 20s. Like me, when I was 25 versus me 35 and me 45 are like 3 different people.
35 and 45, you're the same.
No, it's different, man. I'm telling you,
it is different.
It's different. You're completely different person. Like me, I can't imagine at 25 making that important of a decision to picking the right person to marry.
I did that once at 25.
Yeah, you've done it twice. it just is very difficult. So I think. The ideal age 35? Is a 28-year-old woman marrying a 33-year-old guy and then having kids 2 years later.
That was my wife and me. I was 32. She was 28.
Okay. That's an ideal age, I think, because you're old enough that you've already done whatever you wanted to do. Yeah. You don't want to go clubbing anymore. You want to settle down. And she's done a little bit of partying and she wants to settle down as well. And it's perfect time to have kids. So she'll be 30, you'll be 35, and boom.
Yeah. I mean, for us, it worked out brilliantly. Like my wife was perfect, great age. But I was saying, actually, I was like saying to the girls yesterday, if I'd been that kind of 32-year-old bachelor that was non-committal and I dragged my wife out for 3 years, then she'd have been 31 or 32 looking for a mate, and her pool would have been shrinking. So I just don't think women should wait. I think this whole thing of like get a career, trade, I think it's danger zone. I think
if a man isn't self-made by 35, he's not gonna make it. You got to make sure you got your career, your money, your finances in order. If you're not doing it by 35, it's just not going to happen. It's too late for you.
Colonel Sanders made it in his 60s.
Who?
Colonel Sanders.
Yeah, that's
and Morgan Freeman didn't become an actor till 51.
What are the odds of that? That's like saying, well, people win the lottery all the time. It's 1 in 300 million.
Talking to the trolls for you.
I had to wait till I was 49 to get on Instagram. So,
I mean, I didn't get on this for like
you didn't get on until like 6 months ago.
Yeah, 6-7 months ago. That's true.
He's like, I don't want to get on this shit, and then he got hooked.
It's fun.
Oh yeah, you got to be on it. It's great. It's
fun.
Like changed my life.
But some days we'll look at each other and be like, that was a long week. Like
yeah.
1 week we did 12 hours of straight podcasts, and we're like,
oh wow,
we're smoked.
Yeah,
we did 8 hours, I think, in one day. We did just slammed it through. It's fun though.
Nice.
Juggle in with the rest. What were we talking about before?
We've gone.
Oh, you know what we didn't talk about?
What?
We lightly touched on it, but we didn't fully dive in.
I'm waiting.
Prostitution.
Yeah.
What type of men? The psychology of a man and the psychology of a woman. The prostitutee and the prostitute.
Now, does the man is a man that would go to a prostitute? Does he have?
What is he lacking? What is he trying?
Is he in a committed relationship or not? Because if he's in a non-committed relationship and he lives in Vegas, there's nothing wrong with it. I wouldn't do it. I don't. It's not up to me to judge. So like whatever people want to do. But if you're in a committed relationship and you go to a prostitute, I think.
Is that cheating?
Well, yeah, for sure. It's definitely cheating. Like if you're married or something, you go have relations with a prostitute, for sure that's cheating.
So some women say it's the mental, emotional connection that's considered cheating, not the actual act. And some people say that the act.
Well, to make it even weirder, you go to Japan and they do these street interviews with women in their like 30s and 40s.
That's normal culture, though.
That's
Japan.
my point.
Wait, what interviews?
So they'll do street interviews in Japan, like in the streets of Tokyo, and they'll go up to two like 35-year-old women and say, "Are you married?" And they'll be like, "Yeah." "What do you think about if your husband goes to a prostitute? Is that cheating?" And they'll be like, "No, it's not cheating."
Gotcha.
It's normal in Japanese culture.
Normal.
They have they rent boyfriends, rent girlfriends by the hour.
So really prostitution is cultural, like whatever's culturally acceptable. Now, if someone in LA wants to go to a prostitute and they're in a relationship,
well, it's illegal here, so it wouldn't happen here. But in places that's legal,
Nevada or whatever like that.
Yeah,
you know, then,
Chicken Ranch or whatever it is.
Yeah,
is it still there?
I think so.
I don't fucking know.
Everyone knows chicken. Is it Chicken Ranch or Rabbit Ranch or something
like that?
But in those areas, so if some women think that it is cheating, some women don't think it's cheating. Some women say kissing is a bigger like emotional cheat for them than having sex with a girl.
Well, so men will always be like, if he finds out his wife cheats, he wants to know if she's had sex
with kissing or without kissing
or whatever. But then if a woman finds out her husband cheats, she wants to know if he loved her.
Yeah.
Right. So for women, they're afraid of the emotional connection a man could have with another woman. And for men, he's afraid that she's going to have a physical connection with another man. Right. So,
yeah.
But I think either way, like whatever feels good for a couple, I don't judge. Right. So it's up to them to decide. But if you're in a committed relationship and your wife doesn't want you to go to a prostitute and you go to a prostitute, you were asking what does that say about the person? I think what it says is in the moment, they've lost their moral compass.
I read a lot and I research a lot. Now, moving on to a different topic. I always read and research a lot. One thing that I've read is there's two types of relationships.
Yeah.
Short-term, recreational.
What's short-term?
I'll explain. Short-term recreational and long-term committed.
Yeah.
Short-term recreational relationships never work if you can't convert them into long-term committed. Long-term committed is just a long-term committed relationship. Short-term recreational is just that. And the second something goes wrong, you end the short-term relationship unless she gives good head. And then you carry it on for a few more months. But then when you have the second problem, then you end it. This is short-term recreational, and they usually last about 6 months. And then the long-term committed is your long-term committed relationship. What do you think about that?
Well, I would say the short-term committed relationship.
No, short-term recreational.
The short-term recreational to me is a disgusting relationship, one that I would never advise any young man to partake in, because that doesn't align with me. Although I wouldn't judge. I guess I use the word disgusting, so that is kind of
very judgmental.
Very judgmental. I can't imagine stringing a woman along because she gave good head. I think
no. It's 6 months. Short-term recreational relationships generally last the maximum of 6 months before they. I
guess we as men get to wake up and decide, how do you want to live in the world? Do you want to live in integrity? Do you want to be a leader? Do you want to hold your head high? I love the fact that I can hold my head high about all my relationships. I love the fact that I treat women well, and I like teaching men to treat women well.
But that goes both ways. The short-term recreational is men or women choosing that type of relationship.
Yeah.
So it's not like the man is like taking advantage of a woman.
And you know what? Maybe if they're
it's a transaction, not a transactional.
It feels transactional. If that's what they truly want, again, I'm not going to judge. So I'll take back that word disgusting because I think it was a little harsh. But they can do what they want. Like I don't advise it. I don't think it's great, but I mean, go have fun.
But it makes sense. Like you don't turn a short-term recreational relationship into a successful long-term relationship. It just doesn't.
I think it's hard
work.
Because obviously there's some emotional connection missing.
Yeah.
Right. In a long-term committed relationship, you're there for the emotional connection. Right. So I don't know. I wouldn't be a 28-year-old woman engaging in a bunch of short-term.
No, this is like college. This is like college level. Like
we're
way past this.
Yeah.
We're
I
in our
think
40s, we're married. This isn't for us.
I think at the college level, they're just out having fun. Essentially. But I think that someone's going to get hurt feelings. And maybe catch STDs, which are probably not good.
I don't think kids care these days because they feel like everything's cured now for some reason.
Not herpes.
I know, but like you just feel like AIDS. They're like, oh, there's no more AIDS. Like, no, it's still there. It's still there.
Yeah.
Like, be careful. Like, use a Jimmy if you're gonna do stuff.
Yeah.
Most people don't know what that is. That's our age range.
It is
called a condom. Use it if you're gonna have a short-term recreational relationship. But there's an interesting thing that women like. This is women. It was somewhere I read this, but they took a group of women
Mm-hmm.
and they asked them describe a man,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of these women were like pigs. Men are pigs. They're disgusting. They're hairy. They're smelly. They stink. They fart. They cheat. They're angry. They're abusive. They're all this stuff.
Pretty accurate.
Right? Then they go, what do you women want out of a man? We want him to be loving, compassionate, caring,
Mm-hmm.
fragile, caring, like hold my hand,
Mm-hmm.
love me, tell me he loves me. And the guy goes, so you want this disgusting, hairy, angry,
Mm-hmm.
aggressive,
Mm-hmm.
nasty, smelly
Mhm.
thing to be soft and caressing and careful and loving? Like, what is your expectation of a man? If you're all thinking like they're these
Yeah.
monsters, how do you
Yeah.
want a monster to give you all this like attention? And
I think these types of questions are just meant to they're meant to create engagement on social media. Excuse me.
this
because,
is way before social media. This is like 25 years
well,
ago.
I mean, even in this whole feminism,
Yeah.
What is it, toxic masculine debate and whatnot, that woman definitely wants that man, that that hairy beast of a man to,
Be soft and gentle.
soft and gentle until the pit bull's attacking her kid.
Yeah.
Then she doesn't want a soft and gentle man. She wants you to like rip that dog off your kid because it's gonna
With
kill
your
your
bare
kid
hands.
with your bare hands, right? So it's all situational. All this nonsense is like just meant to farm engagement, I think.
It's just interesting because a lot of women sometimes do think men are just these assholes, but then
Yeah.
they want all these like different qualities out of a man. They're like, well, I don't know if that can, the two kind of,
I would say
are the same.
the problem is that my experience in the couples therapy world is that men are expected to be self-reflective and women less so. So of the couples that come to me, men are expected to change who they are and be self-reflective and to be able to understand how they show up in their partner's life. And it's much more difficult for women to want to do that, to see how she could not be showing up in the way that he wants her to.
So
It's
I'll
a very
ask
common
you
thing.
a question based on that. For a man and a woman, how can you be your best as a woman in a relationship, and as a man, how can you be your best?
I think the best thing a woman can do is to learn to be a bit more self-reflective and not just assume that it's all the guy's fault. I'm not saying that captures all of it, but I would say a good 80% of the couples I work with, if I just fix the husband, their marriage will be great. But that's not the case, because I know enough men that slam the door shut. I have one woman emailing me every day now saying my husband refuses to even consider repairing our relationship. And she was the one that started the idea of a separation. And now she's wanting to get back together. He's like, I'm done. He's like, you're not willing to change. And when a man wakes up and sees that he's married to a woman who doesn't show any sign of self-reflection, like she's not perfect, when a man realizes that, he'll slam the door shut and he won't give her the time of day. He won't have sex with her anymore. And then he'll emotionally detach. So I think for a woman, yes, probably your husband has anger issues, drinks too much, has a ton of personality flaws that he needs to work on, but you're not perfect too. And so the woman does well to kind of shine the light on herself and say, how do I need to change? A man would do really well to look at his own behavior and think, I would say a good portion of why men are shitty husbands is because there's some type of substance use, alcohol, drugs. It's going to be something there, food, porn, some type of self-soothing behavior. I think a lot of men are weak in that regard.
Well, there's 3 types of addictions that keep floating around. So you'll switch from, it's food, sex, and drugs.
Yeah.
And it's whichever version of it you're dealing with now. If you're a glutton, you're probably
I'm
not
always-
using drugs.
I'm always glutton.
No, there's 3 addictions. So it just depends on what your partner's addicted to.
Men, we are so self-soothing. So like, do you have kids?
Mhm.
How many?
2.
And you're together with your partner? No.
Oh yeah, he's together if it's
But back
An
in the
alternate
day,
universe.
or like I'm married. So if my wife will make lunch, right? And we'll all sit down at the dining room table to eat lunch, me and my wife and my 2 girls. I will always start eating immediately. My wife, my daughters will say, Mom, can you get this? Can you get that? She'll stand up 10 times and go get stuff. We'll all almost be finished eating and she'll just start eating. That's the difference between men and women. A man will satisfy his needs instantly, and a woman will sacrifice her needs indefinitely.
See, I wait, and I always complain to my wife. This is one thing that I tell her. When the food is ready, she goes and she's washing dishes. I'm like, babe,
yeah,
you need to come sit,
yeah,
eat. Once we're done, then go wash the dishes or do whatever you want to do. But we're gonna sit and eat. And usually, I just force her to sit so we can all eat together. But that's one thing.
But you couldn't even make me do, like, when I need to eat and my blood sugar's low. I don't. If you're my wife or you're my kid, I'm eating first before I even help you. It's just so instinctual. But I believe that that's our genetic intelligence as men.
I guess.
Well, it is
when I'm
survival.
A single dad, though, I'm eating and walking back.
But it's
like,
part of survival
for sure.
Yeah.
When it's of course, but if my wife's there to do that for me, then I'll let her solve the kids' problem and I'll eat first.
Yeah,
but you're supposed to. Even when you're on a plane, and you're going to see this tomorrow when you fly back to Panama, put your mask on first, then put it on your kid.
Yeah.
Eat first.
But see, it's different with safety, though. My wife would sacrifice my kid's safety.
Obviously, that's your
for
wife.
hers.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm hyper vigilant about my children's safety. So around food, I'm always at the front of the line. When it's safety, I'm always at the back of the line.
Yeah, that's how it's supposed to be, though.
Yeah.
Men are always supposed to.
I'm constantly like, when we walk down the street, I'm like looking at the cars coming out of the side roads.
Who's around.
And riding bikes and stuff like that. I'm hyper vigilant.
Yeah.
But when it comes to food, I'm always eating first.
Standard procedure.
Yeah.
Lions are the same. The wife kills, the man eats, but when there's an attack, the man goes in defense, the pride.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of interesting but I think it's a microcosm that men have weaknesses, and their biggest weakness is this need to self-soothe themselves as quickly as possible.
Plus their ego. The ego causes a lot of problems for men.
Yeah.
They do a lot of stupid things because of their ego.
A lot of stupid things.
One or two.
Especially when you get a group of men together and they're like amping each other up.
Back in the day. Now I think we're all at a certain age.
Now,
like, I don't want to go out, man. I got to wake up in the morning. My back hurts. My knees hurt. I think we'll take it easy tonight.
But he did call me at 9:45 last night saying, you want to go do a donut run? I was like, fuck it, I'm game.
What's a donut? Oh, like
go get donuts.
Sugary donuts and ice cream. What else do you do on a Friday night at
Yeah.
like 10 p.m. when you're in your 40s?
We were debating which donut shop. One on one side of town, one on the other side of town. Who had ice cream with the donuts? That's our version of being bad.
Yeah, and then we're like, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't do this. Let's sleep on it. Tomorrow morning, we'll bring the donuts to the show, and then we'll eat it while we're talking. And he's like, are you crazy? We're going to get sugar crash. We're going to fall asleep.
That breakfast burrito hit the spot.
So we didn't even do that. But anyway, as we wrap up.
Yeah.
Any advice you'd like to give couples right now that are going through a little bit of a rough patch?
Or a lot of a bit of rough patch.
Or a lot of it?
You know, honestly, the simplest one that I've kind of arrived at most recently, because I see a lot of it, it goes back to that word pain. What I tell couples, if you're going through a rough patch right now, there's always more gas in the tank to solve your problems. It's never as bad as you think. So the best thing that you could do is just take a piece of paper and write out that word pain. Because remember how I was telling you at the beginning of our conversation, how we'll start seeing our partner as the nuclear reactor, the source of our emotional pain in all things in our life. I get couples to write down that word pain on a piece of paper and then go put it on the coffee table or in their sock drawer and just look at your empty hands and say, you know what, for this day, for this moment, I'm going to pick up joy. I'm going to see you as my wife, who is the mother of my kids, who, you know, at one point we used to go for sushi and we used to laugh, and we've built up 20 years together. I'm going to look at you today and see you as joy, not pain. And oftentimes that's enough for them to get to put down this view of their partner, like, you are the sole source of all my hurt. And it gives them an off ramp. It lets them put that down and pick something else up and, you know, go make a memory, go for a walk, go have a conversation, try going out for dinner, maybe go have a date, hold hands, whatever, just to try to cultivate, because couples that are going through a really hard time, they've lost hope. and they don't think that their relationship can ever get better. But I would say every relationship can be improved, but it can't be if you're holding on to too much pain. So,
and then how do people find you?
Probably the easiest thing is just go to Instagram, Couples Therapy with Jonathan. And I've got a YouTube channel. We've got 291 subscribers. It grows every day. I haven't done a video in a little while, but I want to grow that so that people can find me there. But yeah, Couples Therapy with Jonathan, either on Instagram or YouTube.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm. Appreciate you coming out, bud.
Thank you for the invite.
Of course.
It's been like a year in the making. This was a great conversation.
Wow. Yeah, it's good meeting you.
Yeah, pleasure.